Welcome to 5 Hours In, the new sporadic series where I give you my first impressions on a game after playing it for about 5 hours. Today I want to share my initial experience with the latest Assassin's Creed game, Valhalla. About a month ago I uploaded a video comparing Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, talking about the Assassin's Creed franchise since its reboot, and discussing my thoughts on the series' future. In January, I'm going to be releasing a more in-depth essay on Assassin's Creed Valhalla as a follow-up to that video, but since that is a couple months away, I wanted to share my first thoughts for anyone with a curiosity about how good this game is and if it's worth buying. This is going to be a real loose thrown together video with some rambling thoughts. Going to be way less edited than my usual videos, but I'm sure you really only care about the gameplay anyway. So everything you're seeing is from the first 5 hours of this game and my absolutely atrocious grasp of the mechanics so early on. To sum up my thoughts on the game so far, I'd say this is a pretty fun Viking game, but it feels so dissimilar to previous Assassin's Creed games and its gameplay, while the story makes the most attempt to connect to the franchise continuity out of any of the recent games. So let's start with the story. There really aren't any spoilers here. You play as Eivor, a Viking and member of the Raven clan in 9th century Norway. The game starts with her on a quest for revenge against the Viking leader who killed her parents in a raid when she was a child. She is known as the Wolf-Kissed because after that raid, there was an incident where she was attacked and scarred by a wolf. She was taken in by the Raven clan's king and raised as his daughter and the sister to the clan heir, Sigmund. Sigmund is pretty much the man in the clan. He's been away for 2 years, but returns with some fanfare and a mysterious pair of hooded men he met while out east called the Hidden Ones, aka the early name for the Assassin's Brotherhood as founded by Aya in Origins. There is some tension within the clan as the king isn't as eager to attack their rival clan as Eivor or Sigmund would like. With the help of the Hidden Ones, Eivor and Sigmund lead a raid against their enemy clan. Eivor kills the clan leader, completing her quest for revenge. One of the Hidden Ones requests a medallion from his body, stating that he was a member of the Order of the Ancients, aka the Proto-Templars. So pretty early on in this game we're already seeing some good old-fashioned Assassins vs Templars maneuvering, which is refreshing in a series that has lacked that on an organizational level for nearly 5 years. Although Eivor isn't yet directly involved with the Hidden Ones, they do provide her with a hidden blade as a gift from Sigmund, and Sigmund does seem to know more about the Hidden Ones' mission than he was revealing even to Eivor. So something more is bubbling under the surface, I'm sure. After this successful raid, King Harald from another clan calls together the surrounding clans and declares he wishes to unite them all under his rule. The Raven clan's king agrees, wanting less bloodshed in the land, but Sigmund is furious that this wasn't discussed with him. Sigmund and Eivor return home and organize anyone who doesn't want to live under the rule of King Harald to come with them and settle in a new land Sigmund came across in his journey, called England. You sail away with a good chunk of the village and touch down in England and begin a new settlement. That's about as far as I've gotten within the Animus story. But hey, within the first 5 hours of gameplay, this game actually gives you some present-day story as well. So flash out of the Animus, and we're still with Layla from Origins and Odyssey, and she looks like shit. But she's with Sean and Rebecca from the OG Desmond squad. It has been 8 years since Desmond's sacrifice, which seems to have just delayed the end of the world rather than stop it. The sky is discolored, earthquakes are frequent, and satellites are falling from the sky. They are at the remains of Eivor in North America, which they were only able to discover from a mysterious message they received within a coded frequency. That's about all we've got right now. I'm glad to see much stronger ties to the original present-day story, and I really have my fingers crossed that this is going to go somewhere. I hope they aren't just building up the end of the world and bringing back Desmond's crew to do a whole lot of nothing with them. As of now, I'm hopeful. So that's the story so far. Nothing crazy yet, but I am enjoying it, and it seems like the seeds are there for a good story. Oh, also Eivor keeps having these visions of Odin too. Forgot to mention that. These things look cool and creepy. Eivor even went to a seer to learn more about them, and had another vision involving Sigmund. The seer revealed the vision means that Eivor will betray Sigmund. Not really explained how or when or why, but this was a really nice bit of dramatic tension to overlay onto the story even before Sigmund's arrival back home. Really nice touch to keep the player thinking. So gameplay. Things feel really different from Odyssey in good and bad ways. Overall, I think the fighting feels a little clunkier than in Odyssey. Even the Eagle Vision mode doesn't seem to control as well. An interesting mechanic that Valhalla did add is that the stamina bar only goes down when you dodge or miss an attack. So if you keep connecting attacks, you keep wailing on guys. This is a subtle feature, but I actually really like it. It keeps a momentum going in the fighting while punishing a more button-mashing playstyle. So it encourages you to actually get good at the fighting. However, so far, I'm already beginning to get sick of the same old axe gameplay. Dual wielding looks cooler, but it actually doesn't really change the combat except for adding like a special attack instead of a block. I haven't had access to too many other weapons so far, but I did use this chain mace thing, which looks really cool, but it controls too slow to be fun. I tried using it for a full raid, but it takes so long to wind up and strike that I ended up switching back to my axe. The bow and arrow also feels a little off. Maybe it doesn't zoom in to aim as much as I'm used to. I can't quite pinpoint why it feels off to me. It's not that bad though. Maybe as I upgrade over time something will change, but right now using the bow doesn't feel quite as satisfying as in Odyssey. The two biggest changes to this game over the others in the franchise are the lack of emphasis on stealth and the raiding. So this goes to my point that this game is really an Assassin's Creed game largely in name only, which makes sense because I can't think of a group of people throughout history less likely to be stealthy agents of the shadows than drunken Viking raiders. But really, I haven't even assassinated anyone yet. I have the hidden blade, and there have been some instances of sneakery, but most situations are all-out combat. I'm sure as I progress and get more involved with the Hidden One storyline that there will be a greater emphasis on stealth, but I can only note my current experience, and that is that this is much more of a Viking game than an Assassin's Creed game. Which brings me to the next mechanic, raiding. Eivor leads her own raiding party and captains her own ship, which seems to be a franchise staple at this point. However, this is now a longship, and I honestly like the way it controls. It's much smoother than the bigger ships in previous games. But also visually, I just enjoy watching the longship sail down the English countryside. However, you're sailing to raid and pillage. This works by coming upon a raid location, then you and your crew storm the beaches and just begin slaughtering everyone, except innocent civilians who flee for their lives. Your crew helps you fight while you go around looting the settlement for goods, then when you're done, you head back to your ship and start sailing. Honestly, my first full-blown raid after arriving in England felt magical and immersive. I was enthralled with the whole experience from beginning to end. Getting in the longship, sailing down the river with Norse songs and stories, slaughtering unsuspecting people and stealing their shit, then just sailing back again. It all felt so smooth and dope. Nothing like any other Assassin's Creed game I've ever played, but during that sequence, I didn't mind a bit. The raiding also supports a settlement system. The goods you get from raiding go towards growing your settlement with new buildings and upgrades. This early on, it gives me very similar vibes to how the Red Dead Redemption 2 settlement system felt, where you're slowly building things up to make it feel more alive and to give the player additional benefits as well. Everything about the raiding and settlements has me more than eager to jump back in and continue playing. But those are really my initial thoughts so far. I haven't looked at other reviews, but I've seen titles and thumbnails on YouTube of people saying that this game is bloated and boring. That is not my experience yet. I've also seen great reviews from the traditional industry people, like IGN, but I typically take those all with a grain of salt. So I don't know. From my perspective, I'm having fun with the game, and I'm actually hopeful for an interesting story. It's hard to say who Eivor is as a character yet, but the different stories surrounding her have my interest. I'm also hopeful that something important is finally gonna happen in the present day. The new gameplay mechanic of the raiding feels fresh and fun to me. The combat and stealth are serviceable at this point. Overall, I'm not sure how fans are gonna feel about this game. No Assassin's Creed game has ever felt this much like an RPG before. To me, that's fresh and exciting, but to die-hard fans, maybe that feels like a betrayal. My best quick summary of this game is that it feels like The Witcher 3 Light, with Vikings, and the emphasis on exploration and settlements of Red Dead Redemption 2. If that sounds appealing to you, it may be worth checking out. Thank you for watching. I'm going to have a more in-depth video on this game out in January, but don't you worry, I'm going to still be pumping out content every week until then. If you liked this, why not check out some of this other dumb shit on your screen? Let me know if you're playing Valhalla and your thoughts on it in the comments. Or, let me know why you hate Assassin's Creed, and anyone who reviews it, regardless of how sexy they are. Until next time, that's about that.